Hello, guys. Welcome to the United Man. It's been a great day so far with our 4-0 win. It's looking like well, from the looks of it, we've started off on the right foot. We're looking like we certainly have a good footing on the pre-season we've had. So hopefully we're going to go from strength to strength. Let's just see who's in the comments. If I can find out. Okay. Who have we got in the comments so far, guys? Let me know who's in. How we doing, Jalen? Okay, we've got a fair bit to unpack today. First half, if I'm honest, first half was looking very, very shaky. Now it looked like, if I'm honest, it looked like it was the first game of the season. Jalen, doing good, thank you, pal. It looked like it was the first game of the season. I won't dress it up anymore. It looked like we were nervous as well, if I'm honest. It looked like we were nervous. It looked like we were trying to find our feet. It took us a good, 10 minutes to get into the flow of things. I can honestly say Chelsea looked the more dangerous team right up until we scored the penalty. We always looked throughout the game, though. We always looked like we would be able to create opportunities from the break, which was really good to see. Now, if we can have lots and lots more games like that, now, yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think if we've got the opportunity to open up teams on the break, absorb some of the pressure, and then just go bosher, and then obviously take people off the counter, I think we can frighten a lot of teams. I think we'll catch a lot of teams off guard. Now, if you look at just the pace that we have up top alone, it's enough to scare any team. Now, with Pogba's passing ability as well, and the pace that we have in Rashford, Martial, Lingard when he's starting up top as part of the three, certainly Daniel James. Bloody heck, that kid is absolutely rapid. He's by far probably the quickest player in the Premier League at the moment. He's just super duper rapid, and I was really happy to see him get his first Manchester United goal, and you saw how much that meant to him, and that's the kind of players we want and need at Manchester United. When he scored that goal, he ran into the corner, and you just saw the elation on his face. And if I'm completely honest, those are the types of players that I want in Man United. Those are the types of players that we absolutely need. And I think if we can get sort of like 70% of our starting lineup for players that 100% are in it for Manchester United, and the other players, not saying that they don't want it as much, but they bring the absolute quality that we have available, then I think we're onto a good thing. And I think, like I said, with this counter-attacking style, now we're trying to play the pressing game, which works with the players that we have. But when we're on the ball and it's time to keep possession, keep hold of the ball, we really look like we struggled today. Now, again, it's coming up with the whole old point of, unfortunately, Pogba's the only one that seems to be able to actually create any real opportunities. So I'm just hoping that, I don't know, because I was happy to see Andreas Pereira get a start today, actually, because I genuinely believe that we need to give players opportunities. But the person who I really wanted to see get an opportunity and should have been on the bench at least was Angel Gomez. And you guys will know from previous videos, previous discussions, that I feared that Angel Gomez would not get the opportunities needed. For me, he's a type of player that we need that can unlock defenses through a pass, through his sheer intelligence and technical ability. I'm just hoping that we give Angel Gomez a chance, if I'm honest. Let's see what you guys are saying. So Jenny said 4-0, mad win for us against a very big team, probably because Hazard wasn't there. Yeah, that's a good point. That is, Jalen. Eden Hazard being missing from any team would miss him, obviously. But yeah, having him as a threat, he was always a constant threat in Man United's side. So I'm really glad he's not there anymore. How's it going, Rachel? Talk Red Devils. Hey, fellow United fan, time to beat a team who's been a problem for us last season, which is Wolves. That's a bloody good point. And yeah, I reiterated that point beforehand. And Wolves will be a tougher test. I know it sounds mad, but Wolves, I believe, will be a tougher test than Chelsea was today. Chelsea, you saw a very weak and diminished side. No, they didn't have Antonio Rudiger. They didn't have Willian. They didn't have Kante. Giroud started on the bench. I know Frank Lampard's trying Tammy Abraham up top, but for me, you need a little bit more. In terms of that Chelsea side, they don't have the quality of youth that we have on our side. Now Chelsea, their strengths are in their experience, whereas we can play our youths and obviously get performances out of them. Whereas Chelsea, they played is it Mason Mount? Didn't really feature in the game. Speaking of Mason, it was good to see Mason Greenwood get get his opportunity in the game as well. What about Raheem Sterling? He is also one of the fastest players as well. Indeed. But Daniel James is another level. He's absolutely another level, if I'm honest, Jalen. Like I said, me as a former footballer, I'm now managing a Sunday League team. But me as a former footballer, I was very quick as well myself. And I know quick players when I see them. And Daniel James, he's like, for me, there was Theo Walcott. He was absolutely just different level speed. And Daniel James, I believe, takes it. He's close, if not a little bit quicker than Theo Walcott in his pomp as well. Let's have it. Daniel James is faster than Sterling. 100%. James is incredible. Rachel says, "Yeah, I hope after 2 days we don't mess up again against Wolves and next week." Yeah, I completely agree. Hopefully, because I believe it was better. It was better playing Chelsea first rather than a few weeks down the line. I just don't believe it's better to have a test than, for example, playing a Brighton or someone that we definitely should be beating, and then we don't perform and then we don't beat them. Then the pressure's on straight away. If we have the likes of Chelsea coming to town and then we perform and beat them like we did, then it kind of puts confidence levels right up there. So for me, I was happy that we played Chelsea first as a test, and also we overcome that test and we looked, more so in the second half than the first half. We looked really good. What else we got? So, yeah, maybe they should have a race. John says, "I told you the other night United would beat Chelsea 4-0. Yes, that's a good point, John. You did say 4-0. Yeah, you're right. United will get better if we strengthen in January. Yep, I agree. Cherry says, "Was a good result. Main thing was the clean sheet." Yep, absolutely. There was some other positives and also some negatives to take on board and work on. Let's not forget we are still a team under reconstruction. Good point. Yet we are. Well, I think one of the things I always say, if we lost today, for example, let's not get carried away. We didn't lose. We got the win. It was an emphatic win, but the performance for me, we weren't outplaying Chelsea. We weren't dominating possession. They had more possession than us overall. It was more of an efficient and clinical performance rather than a dominating performance. I think from, for example, Frank Lampard's comments afterwards, where he was saying, in his opinion, that Chelsea made 4 mistakes and we scored 4 goals. Now, I'd go a little bit on the other side of the coin where I would say that we caused them and forced them into giving up possession and we capitalized on those opportunities. So for me, that more came from Solskjaer's ability and his style of play. So for me, I think it was more based on what Solskjaer implemented and it worked. And as I said before, I believe that Solskjaer's system will more lend it to us, to ourselves than us outplaying teams. I believe how we set up, how we break teams down and hit them on a counter like we did today. To me, that will more lend itself to us being successful in certain games than it would be us actually playing through teams. Because as you can see, Chelsea had more possession than us today. And if I'm honest, Chelsea weren't really about the races and they looked very dangerous. But that takes me on to my next point. Defensively, we looked very solid in terms of individual basis, we didn't look great in terms of, if you like, team defending in the first half. It was more so in the second half that we looked better as a shape defensively. And also that then lent itself to individual performances. For example, in the first half, you had Wan-Bissaka going one-on-one against Emerson on our right side and their left side. And Emerson tried a few times, had no joy, basically just stopped trying to go up against Wan-Bissaka one-on-one. He then cut inside a few times or tried to hit across from deep, or he tried to catch Wan-Bissaka out of position by having the ball over the top. He then tried to use his brain a little bit more rather than going directly at Wan-Bissaka because he knew he'd get no joy. I'd love to know what Jose had got to say now. So, for example, I watched some of the match reaction with the lads on Sky Sports, and Jose was saying that there'll be teams that we don't have much success against in relation to just basically how we play. Now, in possession, I agree that we're not the greatest, and we probably won't until we can add quality alongside Pogba and others. I don't believe we're going to have much joy. But on the other foot, I'd like to believe that if we can indeed continue some form based on how we play on our possession game in terms of winning the ball up the pitch, then we'll get some joy, and hopefully we can get some. We still need to add. Let's be honest. We, as Terry said, we're still in reconstruction mode. We're still very, very new to everything. So for me, if we can add some players further up the line, then brilliant. But if not, then I think we'll still struggle. We've got a lot of games to play. So for me, we need to be able to add players where it's quality. We saw Pereira in the first half. He looked like he was out of his depth. If I'm honest, he looked like he wasn't ready. He looked like he wasn't. He looked kind of like a fish out of water in the first half. In the second half, he was like not a completely different player, but he certainly brought a bit more quality to it, and that showed with his cross for Martial. So yeah, definitely, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what we can do against the likes of Tottenham and Liverpool and Manchester City, and indeed Wolves. Obviously, they're going to be a stern test. I'm under no illusions they're going to be a massive test for us coming up. So yeah, let's see what else we got. Was you a professional footballer then, Shane? I wasn't professional. I played youth level at Chelsea and then semi-pro into my early to mid-20s, and then just settle for Sunday League, if you like. But yeah, I wasn't ever going to be good enough for professional as much as I would have thought. Didn't expect that scoreline. Tom says, all performance, we have hope. We look dangerous on the counter-attack and defence looks solid. And that's a huge point. I think so long as our defence can give us that solidity, then the likes of De Gea, for example, will feel more inspired to get the performances back as of a couple of years back. But when he's conceding to silly goals and individual errors, then he's going to start thinking, bloody yeah, why am I trying? So it's a good point that we look defensively sound, and we were solid. So for me, I'm very encouraged the fact that we kept a clean sheet and we looked solid, because we were. Lindelof looked very good. Harry Maguire was absolutely immense at the back today. I really, 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 really enjoyed his performance today. He just looked what we've been missing, and him and Lindelof played really well. Wan-Bissaka speaks for himself. Luke Shaw did well enough today. He still has to take it up a level. I think Luke Shaw, if he's going to cement that left back position for me, Luke Shaw has to take it up a level, if I'm honest. What else we got? The emotion from James today was heartwarming. Yeah, that's what we need, a player who has much passion and emotion in our squad. Amazing performance today. Yeah, I agree. He was. It was glad, as I touched on before, I was really happy to see him score. And after that, as you said, his reaction was fantastic. It just shows, obviously, he went through a tough time with his dad passing away and whatnot. And it shows how much it meant to him to score for Manchester United. And that's the kind of players we need on board. The pace in our team is frightening. Listen, when we brought on Mason Greenwood at the end, and we brought on Daniel James, I was thinking to myself, if I'm one of the other teams here, and they're pulling these kind of guys off the bench, and we've been running up against Rashford and Martial all day already, and then they're pulling Daniel James out of their pocket and Mason Greenwood. Listen, I feel sorry for teams which, if they're trying to play through us all the time, and we pick them off as we did today, and realistically, we only created them 4 chances and we scored 4 goals. That's so encouraging. It's not to say we only had 4 chances, but there were the 4 opportunities that we had where we scored. So it looked brilliant. I completely agree. The pace we've got is immense, and long may it continue. Did anyone hear Jose's little dig at Shaw during the half time? No, I didn't hear that one. What was that? I'm not too sure what that dig was against Luke Shaw. Anyone knows what that was? Let me know. How's it going, Danny? Danny's joined us. John says Harry Dennis the Menace Maguire is top class. Yes, Johnny, he was, mate. He was, and we've been calling out for that. And over the past few weeks, leading up to Maguire signing for us, and when he did, the question I posed was, can Maguire and Lindelof become that next great centre-back defensive partnership that we've lacked since Vidic and Ferdinand? And the answer is, I believe so. And why not? Why can we? What I'm trying to say is, at this present time, from what we're seeing on the pitch today, and knowing what Harry Maguire can do anyway, and what Lindelof has done for us already, sky's the limit for our centre back pairing. And I really do believe we set our foundations as solid as we're looking at the moment. Absolutely fantastic. I've seen, so Rachel says, you're right when you say we're short in midfield, Shane. We need to sign a regular partner for Pogba to help him out. We can't expect him to do it all himself. And that's a massive point there. That is, how much did we create without Pogba, realistically? Now, as I say, Martial's goal was a break. We broke off us winning the ball back. Martial took it down, fed through Lingard. It was over hit past to Lingard. Lingard set up Pereira. Pereira swung it in and a poacher's goal. But obviously, you saw what Pogba done. He set up 2 goals. But this is why so many people, including myself, has been on Paul Pogba's back, purely because first half he was non-existent, really and truly. Second half, 2 moments of magic which produced 2 goals. Now, if you got a certain, for example, a 7 out of 10 consistent level from Pogba, and then he produces moments of magic, you can accept that. But at the minute, for example, he's 5 out of 10 in the first half, in my opinion, and 7 out of 10 in the second half. So because of those 2 moments of magic, and that's pretty much been Pogba's story with Manchester United at the moment. So I'm hoping that, that changes. But this is his 4th season in to his 2nd spell at Man United, and we're seeing the good, bad, and ugly of Pogba in one game in 2 halves. So yeah, I don't know if he's gonna change. As they say, leopard never changes spots, but hopefully he does. Wanted to touch on the second half as well. Second half, we were a lot more composed. We looked dangerous. We looked like we were gonna cause Chelsea problems at every single turn, and ultimately we did, which is why it ended up 4-0. But it just looked so fascinating to see us in full flow again with wingers and quick, rapid players and clinical finishing. Rashford's finish for his 2nd goal, absolutely brilliant. Took his control down from Pogba's ball over the top. Wonderful control and a cool, cultured finish, and that's what we need. And as I said before, if we can get Martial, Rashford getting the main stake of our goals, and Daniel James chipping in some, Mason Greenwood chipping in some, Paul Pogba with some, and the rest of the goals spread throughout the team, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be there or thereabouts. But what happens if Paul Pogba gets injured? What happens if he takes a knock? Listen, it's not encouraging to see the fact that it's only Pogba still being the main creator. Now, I know Pereira created for Martial's goal, but that was more of an opportunistic thing. Right place, right time, worked it well, crossed the ball in, job done. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes as the season goes on. Um, for some reason today, Luke Luke Shaw looked more hungry for tackles and was more lively. Yeah, I did gather that as well. He looked a bit more menacing, as you said there, Danny, in regards to his challenges. So yeah, I think that's a fair reflection as well. Jose was calling Shaw slow. Whoa, okay. I don't I don't know about that one in terms of calling Luke Shaw slow. That's I know that's probably a reference to what Lukaku wrongly obviously divulging some of the club's records, but I can only I can only assume that shows a joke in that regard. But in no way, shape, or form is can Jose call Luke Shaw slow and be serious. So yeah, I'm hoping he was just joking in regards to that one. Jose said Maguire will find out he will have to cover Shaw way too much. Now that yeah, I did see that bit, but that was to me I disagree with what he was saying there. Now, that to me is the fact that Rashford, and I said it before. I said it before. It's almost like Rashford was told not to track back on Aspilicueta, and it just looked so obvious because obviously Aspilicueta is not the greatest going forward as a right back, but he's a professional footballer. He's going to cause people problems. Now, I more believe that was just him being overloaded on that side, with Rashford not tracking back on Aspilicueta rather than Maguire going to have to be tracking back all season to cover Luke Shaw. I disagree with that one, and Luke Shaw's got the energy and stamina to get back anyway and cover his man. He's got the speed enough to catch up with most wingers. Not every winger, obviously there'll be wingers quicker than him, but yeah, for me, Luke Shaw. As you said, Danny, yeah, for me, he looked, yeah, he did. I agree. He looked up for it in terms of the challenge, in terms of the battle. Now, they didn't get any joy down his side in terms of one-on-one going past him. In terms of positionally, yeah, he got caught up a couple of times. But as I said, that was more due to him being overloaded on that one side until he get 2v1. Uh, Jose, we got Jose should shut up talking smack. Yeah, about our club. He had his chance and blew it. Yeah, I completely agree there. Yeah, it sounded like a bit of sour grapes. And if he's really joking about players that he used to manage, that's a little bit unprofessional for me. You shouldn't be okay. If you genuinely believe that a player needs to work harder or his stamina like he did, but not forgetting he picked on Luke Shaw a lot. He picked on Luke Shaw an awful lot when he was there. And yeah, it just shouldn't be the case. That to me is a bit unprofessional, and I'm not really too happy with that, if I'm honest. Yeah, Lukaku. Yeah, I like that, Rich. Yeah, so for me, I would like to see us. Regardless of how the season's going now and how it goes for the next few weeks, I still believe we're still going to need to add to our centre mid, because when Pogba's not on it, if Solskjaer is not going to give the likes of Angel Gomez or James Garner the opportunities, I believe we're going to have to add, and it showed, because when Pogba did start to turn it on, we looked a lot better. But I still think we struggle to retain possession, and we're not going to be able to catch some of the better teams out in terms of the counter-attacking football on as many occasions as we did today against Chelsea. So yeah, we're going to have to try and lock that one down a little bit. I think Garner will be the answer in midfield. Trust me, he will be the new Roy Keane. Yeah, I do remember you saying that, to be fair, John. Onwards and upwards, hopefully, Shane. Yeah, I agree. I would just at least give these players the opportunities rather than just not having them involved in a squad, because we know what, for example, one Mata came on with Mason Greenwood. We know what Mata can do. Now, in these types of games where you're not too sure what you're going to get out of Paul Pogba, let's have a James Garner or an Angel Gomez on the bench to bring him on. Angel Gomez, for me, is on Mason Greenwood's level of being a creator. So, yeah, I just believe we need to give these younger players the opportunity. Now, for me, Pereira is 23 now, as is McTominay, and these guys are not. Then they're not gonna really. For me, McTominay is gonna be like John O'Shea or at Darren Fletcher, but Darren Fletcher had a bit more creativity about him. Technically, he was a bit better. McTominay, I just, at this age, at 23, 22, 23, you kind of know what a player is going to be. They're not really going to improve that much. It's happened before with one or two players, but realistically, you probably know what you've got by then. By the time a player is 23, going to turn 24 in that season, you know what you've got as a finished article, pretty much. You can change and practice and improve on some of the little nuances, but you know what you've got ultimately. Okay. Going back to, yeah, I wanted to touch on you guys man in the match also. For me, as you'll probably be aware, maybe I put down Marcus Rashford as my man in the match. However, Harry Maguire was a very, very close second. Now, Rashford, for me, his body of work, once he sorted out Aspilicueta as at the right back position, it was a lot better. Now, I believe he has the work rate to play that left side better than Martial. Ultimately, that's why he ended up playing there, and he got 2 goals, obviously, anyway. But it was the 2 goals. The penalty was absolutely amazing for Marcus Rashford. Likewise was his second goal, as I mentioned before, his touch in terms of his control and the finish, brilliantly slotted home. But Harry Maguire was a very, very close second. He just shored up that defence. It just made us look just in terms of defensively, complete. We've still got a lot to do, as I mentioned, in terms of the central midfield area. But in terms of defensively, I think we're there or thereabouts. And he just wins everything in the air. Aerially, he's probably the best defender in the league. He clearly brings confidence to those around him. Now, there was a couple of times where it broke down in midfield, and some of our players looked to be panicking. Harry Maguire stayed cool, calm and collected, intercepted on a few occasions, won the ball back off Tammy Abraham by outpowering him on a couple of occasions. And he's exactly what we needed. He's exactly what we've been missing. And long may it continue that he just absolutely just destroys any centre forward that he's coming up against. And he's a leader. You can see he's a leader back there. You can see he's an organizer. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see what type of a relationship that Lindelof and Maguire can build over the coming season. So yeah, it's very encouraging. I'd like to see Martial have a bit more of an influence throughout the game, because today Martial was very stop and start. He did link up with Rashford on a couple of occasions in the final third, which was very good. But the final ball was wanting a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, I feel very, very confident in our forward line and our defence. Our midfield our midfield central area still needs a lot of work, and I think we're going to struggle as the season goes on. But as you said, John, got to remain optimistic, and let's see where we end up. Hopefully, this Wolves game coming up, we can still play to our strengths, catch Wolves out, and hopefully, yeah, win that one as well. But that's the other thing, guys. I'm going to try and get to a few games as well this season. So yeah, it should be good. Yeah, Rachel says onwards and upwards. Harry was man of the match. He was like a maniac. Yeah, and goes. Listen, I believe Harry Maguire coming to our team at this juncture. It's exactly what we needed. We were struggling defensively. We were leaking goals. Then we've added two additions to our defense, and we look brand new. Lindelof, as we know, had a great season last season. Luke Shaw had a solid enough season, but if you've got players around you that are playing at a level above what you normally play, just serves to give you confidence and serves to obviously ultimately make you play better, raise your levels, makes you not want to make mistakes, because if you're making mistakes and you've got others playing at a certain level above you, you're going to look silly. So it makes you keep your levels to a certain standard as well. And not only that, it builds trust. So, for example, Paul Pogba now turning around and seeing Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, and Luke Shaw, and David De Gea behind him, that's going to instill confidence in any central midfielder. But as I've stressed already, we still need to help out. Our midfield looks the weakest area at the moment. Up front wise, we look like we'll cause most teams' problems. I still think we have to find a way of, because obviously ultimately we scored most of our goals from winning the ball back off the opposition and then breaking. But yeah, ultimately if we can find a way of playing through the middle and in terms of possession football and then create open opportunities using our wingers or indeed playing through the middle, then brilliant, because we won't always be able to catch teams on the break because other teams will sit back. They won't try and play through us like Chelsea did today. Chelsea playing how they did today kind of played into our hands, but there'll be plenty of teams in the lower half of the league that will try to actually play it up against us. So it'll be interesting to see how we play against those, and I think we're going to need a plan B to do that. But the only thing is, with needing a plan B, we need different options in terms of players to actually try and change our system of play. Still not confident that we will win against Wolves. Football Fan Fever says, yeah, it's a good point. Wolves are very good in possession of the ball, as you all know. They have an very effective way of playing against both teams that are not as good as us and also teams that are on our level and better. They have a plan A and a plan B. But I believe how we're playing at the moment, I believe I believe just purely how we're set up in how Solskjaer's got us playing, breaking teams down high up the pitch. I believe we'll catch a lot of teams out, especially teams that come to try and hold possession against us. I believe we'll catch a heck of a lot of teams out. I believe we'll break teams down high up the pitch, and our pace is absolutely going to devastate teams. Our counter-attacking team is going to absolutely frighten teams, because what that will do, it will put teams on a back foot. It will stop teams, guarantee it will stop teams from wanting to try and play through the central areas against us. It will certainly stop them trying to go down Wan-Bissaka's alley, because they know teams aren't going to get any joy against Wan-Bissaka. And Luke Shaw's no slouch either, but it will stop teams who normally do try and play around us, in and around us. It will stop them from actively trying to come up as a whole unit, which will create pockets of space in between their defence and their midfield, because they're not pushing up as a whole unit. So ultimately, it will create spaces because they'll be fearful of our counter-attack and our speed going forward. So as you saw today, when we was going forward full flight, they couldn't catch us. They'd be nowhere near us. Rashford had ample time to bring the ball down and set himself and then slot the ball home. Such was the amount of space created with the ball and the run and the speed that we had available to us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we progress this season. Rachel says we will win. Is it at Wolves the game? I'm not too sure. I'll have to check the fixture list on that one. I'll have a look after this, and I'll put it out on the on my community feed on YouTube. United fan says the wingers will get space and crosses. Yeah, Daniel James, what he did today when he came on. Now, I believe, I'm not going to get carried away and say he should be starting the next game. Likewise with Mason Greenwood. I believe Daniel James and Mason Greenwood should be used as they were today in terms of Premier League games. When it comes to League Cup and Europa, these guys are going to start these games because they'll learn certain things that they can't from the bench. But on the other foot, they'll learn certain things from watching a game and then being able to come on and implement certain things. So for me, Daniel James, I believe he'll be able to come on and have a big impact on most games. And Mason Greenwood, for me, it was encouraging to see for me that Ollie's willing to take off either Martial or Rashford. Not forgetting Rashford is Ollie's guy. He calls him Rashy and all that jazz. It was encouraging to see that Ollie was willing to take off the likes of Rashford and or Martial. Took off Lingard as well. But for me, we've got to we know what Mata can do. So for me, get Angel Gomez involved. That's what he's got to do. So, and I was fearful of this before the season started. I know it's only one game in, but if I see Angel Gomez on the bench the next game, I'll be happy as long as he gets on. But yeah, I believe wholeheartedly that we'll shock a lot of teams. Now Wolves will come to playing us, and they'll be confident. They'll be confident. Oh, we done them over last season a couple of times. We'll be able to do the same. We'll shock a lot of teams with how hard we press these teams. Now, Ollie said when he took over Man United that he was shocked and not impressed with the fitness levels. He's taken them away, worked on their fitness. You can see how fit these guys are now compared to when Jose Mourinho was in charge. So I'm encouraged. Let's say I wouldn't say I'm yeah. This Chelsea team we beat today, let's make no bones about it. They weren't world beaters. I think they'll struggle to make the top four this season and maybe even the top six. But they were missing a few players today, so we've got to be realistic with that as well. Okay, right. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Much appreciated for you joining me again. I shall, as I say, I'll get on the community feed on YouTube and drop some stuff across. Wolves will play right into our hands. We will beat them 3-0. No problem if they attack us. Yeah, we'll hit them on a break. Again, if teams want to do that against us, they will find themselves wanting, because I completely agree. We'll catch teams out. Anyway, guys, we'll hold it there. I'll catch you in the community feed on YouTube. As I say, guys, brilliant first win. Enjoyed it thoroughly, and long may it continue. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Laters, guys.